The truth is, nothing hurts more than being ignored by the very children you raised with love and sacrifice. You gave them everything, your time, your energy, your heart. Yet now they barely call, barely visit, and sometimes it feels like you don't exist in their world at all. You wonder, why? What went wrong? Are you to blame? Did life simply change? Or is there something deeper at play? Today we uncover 5 surprising reasons why grown children distance themselves from their parents, and more importantly, what you can do to reconnect. Because your story isn't over and your love still matters. Loneliness is not meant to be your final chapter. The bond you once shared can still be mended. Even if your children have drifted away, there are ways to rebuild the bridge, ways to heal the silent wounds, open new conversations, and find peace in your heart, whether they return or not. Stay with me till the end, because this message is for every parent who has ever felt forgotten. Let's navigate this difficult path together. If you like this video, comment your country below. If not, comment your age. There is no heartbreak quite like being ignored by the very children you raised with love, sacrifice, and devotion. It's a pain that doesn't leave visible wounds, but it lingers deep in the soul. You sit by the phone, waiting for a call that never comes. You wonder if they even think about you. The house that was once filled with laughter and conversation now feels empty, echoing with memories of the past. This kind of loneliness is different. It's not just about physical distance, it's about emotional distance. It's the painful realization that you are no longer a central part of their world. You raised them, nurtured them, and made sacrifices to give them a better life, yet now you feel like a forgotten chapter in their story. Why is this topic so rarely discussed? Because society expects parents to let go and accept their children's independence. But what about the parents left behind? What about the pain of watching your children drift away? Many parents suffer in silence, afraid to speak up, afraid of being seen as needy or demanding. But ignoring this pain does not make it disappear. It is real and it deserves to be acknowledged. Understanding why this happens is the first step toward healing, not just for your relationship with your child, but for yourself. Reason number 1. Changing priorities in adulthood. Life is a series of changing priorities, and for your grown children, responsibilities often overshadow relationships. When they were young, you were their entire world. Every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every moment of comfort, they turned to you first. But as they grow, life takes them in new directions. Careers demand time and energy. Marriages bring new commitments. Children of their own become their focus. And in this shifting landscape, parents often find themselves pushed down the priority list, not out of malice but simply because life moves fast. For many parents, this change feels sudden and painful. One day your child is calling you daily, sharing their dreams and struggles. The next, you're lucky to get a text once a month. It's not that they don't care, it's that their world has expanded. They are juggling work, relationships, financial stress, and sometimes just trying to stay afloat. There is also a generational gap in values. For you, regular family gatherings, long phone calls, and deep conversations might have been a priority. But today's fast-paced world doesn't always work that way. Many adult children rely on quick text messages or social media to stay connected, thinking that's enough. They may not realize that what feels like keeping in touch to them feels like neglect to you. So what can be done? The key is to adapt while maintaining your needs. Instead of waiting for them to come to you, find small ways to stay connected. A simple message checking in, an expression of support for what's going on in their life. These small gestures can reopen lines of communication. At the same time, it's important to set new expectations. Your relationship with them will never be the same as it was when they were children, but that doesn't mean it can't be meaningful in a new way. The goal is not to make them feel guilty for their absence, but to remind them of the love and connection that still exists between you. Reason number 2, unresolved past conflicts. Sometimes, distance between parents and grown children isn't just about busy schedules. It's about unspoken wounds that have never healed. Every family has conflicts, misunderstandings, and moments of hurt. As parents, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. But for your child, some of those experiences may have left lasting emotional scars. Perhaps they felt unheard as a child. Maybe there were moments when discipline felt too strict, or emotions were brushed aside. Maybe there were disagreements over their life choices. Who they married, what career they chose, how they raised their own children. These unresolved emotions can create barriers that lead to silence and distance. The problem is, time magnifies wounds that are never addressed. A small resentment from childhood can grow into a major wall of emotional separation in adulthood. So what can you do? If you sense that past conflicts are part of the reason for their distance, the most powerful thing you can do is open a door to honest conversation. Not with blame, not with guilt, but with an open heart. A simple message can be a starting point. I know that we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I want you to know that my love for you has never changed. If there's ever anything we need to talk about, I am here to listen. Apologizing for past mistakes, even ones you didn't realize were hurtful at the time, can be incredibly healing. Sometimes just acknowledging their feelings can soften years of resentment. This does not mean taking full responsibility for everything. Relationships are a two-way street. But being open to hearing their perspective without defensiveness can be the first step toward mending what was broken. If your child is not yet ready to have that conversation, don't force it. Simply let them know that the door is open when they are ready. Healing takes time and patience is key. Reason number 3. Influence of spouses and partners. One of the most difficult realities for many parents to accept is that when their children get married, their priorities shift. It's natural, but for some parents, this shift feels more like a loss than a transition. The truth is, when a grown child enters a serious relationship, their spouse or partner becomes their closest confidant, their primary emotional connection. And sometimes, that new relationship creates distance between parent and child. In some cases, the spouse may feel threatened by the closeness between a parent and their partner. They might see the bond as intrusive or controlling, even when that was never the intention. In other situations, a child may distance themselves to avoid tension between their spouse and their parents. Family dynamics shift dramatically after marriage, and this can create a silent struggle for attention, love, and loyalty. While some families naturally blend together, others find themselves drifting apart. If you've noticed that your child became more distant after getting married, this could be a factor. There are a few key things to remember. Your child is not choosing their spouse over you, they are simply trying to create balance. Resentment toward their partner will only push them further away. If they feel that every conversation with you turns into criticism of their spouse, they will retreat. Building a positive relationship with their spouse can open doors. Instead of seeing them as the person who took your child away, try to connect with them. If they see you as an ally rather than a competitor, they may encourage your child to stay connected with you. If you suspect that your child's partner is creating intentional distance, this can be painful. However, the best approach is patience and understanding. Instead of demanding time or making your child feel guilty, focus on being a supportive, positive presence in their life. Over time, they will recognize that your love is not a burden, it's a gift. Reason number 4. The rise of emotional independence. In past generations, families stayed deeply connected out of necessity. Parents and children relied on each other for support, guidance, and survival. Today, society encourages extreme independence. Young adults are taught to set boundaries, prioritize personal space, and focus on self-sufficiency. While independence is healthy, it can also lead to emotional detachment. Many adult children believe that staying connected with their parents is a choice rather than a responsibility. They no longer feel an obligation to check in regularly, visit often, or prioritize family time. Technology also plays a role in this shift. Instead of phone calls or visits, many rely on quick text messages or social media updates to stay in touch. While these digital interactions may seem casual, they often replace deeper, more meaningful connections. So what can you do? Understand that this is not personal. This is a generational shift that affects many parents, not just you. Find ways to engage with them on their terms. If they prefer texting over calling, start with a text. If they're active on social media, comment on their posts to remind them of your presence. Gently remind them of the importance of real conversations. A message like, "I'd love to hear your voice soon. When you have a moment, give me a call," can be a subtle way to reconnect. By embracing small changes in communication, you can maintain a connection without feeling like you're forcing it. Reason number 5. Feeling judged or controlled. One of the most common reasons grown children distance themselves from their parents is the feeling of being judged. Even when parents believe they are offering advice out of love, adult children may interpret it as criticism. Have you ever asked, "Why don't you call more often? You're always too busy for your family. Why don't you raise your kids the way I raised you?" While these questions may come from a place of concern, they can sometimes make adult children feel like they are failing in their parents' eyes. Over time, these small moments of perceived criticism build up, leading them to avoid conversations altogether. The same applies to control. If a grown child feels that every interaction with a parent comes with expectations, whether about visiting, calling, or making certain life choices, they may retreat to avoid conflict. So how do you overcome this? Choose words carefully. Instead of saying, "You never call," try, "I miss you, let's catch up soon." Let go of expectations. The less pressure they feel, the more likely they are to reach out on their own. Make every interaction positive. If your child knows that a phone call or visit with you will leave them feeling good rather than guilty, they will be more likely to make time for you. The goal is to create an environment where your child wants to be around you, not out of obligation but because they enjoy your company. Now I tell you about how to reconnect and rebuild bridges. Rebuilding a relationship with a distant child requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to take the first step, without expecting immediate results. The pain of being ignored can make it tempting to respond with anger or resentment, but healing starts with a different approach: openness and love. If your child has drifted away, ask yourself, have I reached out in a way that invites connection, or have I unknowingly pushed them further? Sometimes, parents express their pain in ways that create more distance, through guilt-tripping, blaming, or demanding attention. Instead, the key is to create a bridge, not a wall. Here are the first steps to rebuilding that connection. 1. Start with a simple message. A short, heartfelt text like, "I was thinking about you today and just wanted to say I love you," can open the door to communication. Keep it light, free of expectations. 2. Apologize if needed. If past conflicts may have played a role in the distance, a gentle acknowledgement like, "If I've ever hurt you in any way, I truly regret it. My love for you is always here," can soften barriers. 3. Find neutral topics to re-engage. Instead of dwelling on the past, bring up shared interests. Ask about their work, their hobbies, their favorite sports team. Let them lead the conversation. 4. Give them space, but keep showing up. A single message may not change everything overnight, but consistency matters. Continue to reach out occasionally, reminding them that your love is steady and unconditional. 5. Plan low-pressure ways to reconnect. Instead of expecting long visits or deep conversations right away, suggest small, casual interactions, grabbing coffee, sharing a book recommendation, or sending an old family photo with a fond memory. Rebuilding a broken relationship is a slow process, but every small step makes a difference. Love them where they are without forcing them to change. Over time, they may begin to realize that your presence in their life is not a burden, but a blessing. One of the most painful realizations for many parents is that their sense of purpose has been deeply tied to their children. When those children become distant, it can feel like life has lost its meaning. But here's the truth. You are more than just a parent. Your worth is not measured by how often your children call or visit. It is not defined by how much attention they give you. You are a whole, valuable person with experiences, wisdom, and a life that is still yours to enjoy. If your child has distanced themselves, it's important to redirect that energy towards self-fulfillment. Instead of waiting for their presence to bring you happiness, focus on creating joy in your own life. Here's how. Reconnect with old passions. What did you love before parenthood took center stage? Writing, music, painting, gardening. Now is the time to rediscover yourself. Build friendships outside of family. Find a senior community, join a club, or connect with others who share your interests. Companionship doesn't have to come only from your children. Prioritize your own happiness, travel, try new experiences, focus on self-care. The more you embrace life, the less you will feel dependent on your children's attention for fulfillment. The biggest shift comes when you stop seeing your happiness as something that depends on them and instead start seeing it as something you can create for yourself. At some point, if your child continues to remain distant despite your best efforts, you must ask yourself, how long will I keep waiting for something that may never change? Letting go does not mean you stop loving them. It does not mean giving up. It means accepting what you cannot control and choosing peace instead of pain. This is not easy. The longing for connection with your child may never completely disappear. But by releasing the need for their validation, you free yourself from the suffering that comes with constantly waiting for something that may never come. Here's how to find peace in this reality. Accept what is rather than wishing for what was. Let go of the idea that your child should be different and focus on living your own life fully. Forgive them, even if they never apologized. Carrying resentment will only hurt you. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Fill your life with meaningful relationships, whether through friends, community, or even pets. Surround yourself with love from those who are present. Practice gratitude. Shift your focus to the blessings you do have, health, memories, personal growth, rather than what is missing. The hardest part of letting go is the fear that if you stop chasing them, the connection will be lost forever. But often, when you release control, things begin to change naturally. And even if they don't, you will have found your own peace. Final words. Your love still matters even if your child doesn't call, even if they have distanced themselves. Your love is never wasted. The time, the effort, the sacrifices. You poured love into them, and that love shaped them into who they are today. They may not see it now. They may not express their gratitude. But the love you gave them will always be a part of them. Your story is not over. Your happiness is not over. Life still holds meaning beyond this pain. So today, take a deep breath. Release the sadness. Choose to live, to love, to find joy in the moments that are yours. And if one day your child finds their way back to you, let them be welcomed by the warmth of a parent who has chosen peace. Do you relate to this? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, comment your country. If not, comment your age.